Okay, that's what I wanted to see. That's how we need to finish. Good job. Take a break. Valles. Valles, I said take a break.
How many more do you want? 10, 20, 100?
Take a break!
You think you're tough, White? Well, we're tough, all right? We're not runners, we're pickers. And we're always gonna be pickers. And every day we're gonna get up and do the same thing over and over again, just like this. So you can make us do it 100 times, 1,000 times, because guess what? It's never gonna change, all right? Ah! You know what these are, White? Huh? You know what's under here? Almond holes. You eat almonds? Huh? You like them? They come out the packet real nice, right? Well, somebody picked those, White. But you can use them for hill training, right?
Valles.
Suspend me if you want, man. I'm done.
Okay, practice is over.
Great.
Awesome. What's going on, Derek?
I love your little studio, man.
Thanks, man. I can't take all the credit. My girlfriend does a lot of voiceover, so this is really convenient. This is her setup, which is really nice.
Oh, it sounds good too. I'm so jealous. Yeah. It's
yeah,
tough.
dude, it's high tech.
It's tough to get that right sound, right? It's just like it took me forever just to get like something I was happy with, because I was doing it on a MacBook for like the first couple of years.
Sure.
And it sounded like shit. It sounded like I was talking to a cup. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so,
I mean, I can send you the link when this is over, like for all of this.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome, man.
Of course. Yeah, for sure. She does a lot from here, man. Like,
you said voiceover work. When you say voiceover, like, what do you mean by that? Like, is it just like
she, like how I am in acting? She just, is in the animation world. So like her probably most like recognizable character at this point is I mean, she got a lot, but there's a show called Miraculous Ladybug.
Okay.
So she's Ladybug. Then she was like Sailor in Sailor Mars, or as Sailor Mars, and then what's the other big one? Hunter. So like she does what I do. It's her voice and not this.
That's like I mean, I talk to other actors. That's like the gig to have, is the voiceover work. Like, cause
it's hard, man.
It's hard. It's hard, but like,
yeah.
but can't she do a lot of the stuff like at home, or does she have to go on location?
A lot of it, when the pandemic started, became this is why this is here, right?
Yeah,
when the pandemic happened, it became at home, and some of the jobs she was doing, she just wanted to put her best foot forward because they were big jobs. So she went ahead and invested in this, and I think now that it's been 4 years since all of that, she goes to the studios a lot. Like, she's directing a show right now, actually, and she's at the studio for that.
So is this is this her character? I just want to.
Yeah, that's her.
Dude, how cool is that?
Yeah. She's Ladybug.
Dude, that is great.
It's cool, man. Because as you get older, right? Like, what I do is cool, but as you get older and your friends start to have kids, they all watch Ladybug.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool in that sense. You know what I mean? I think that's ultimately the goal as an actor, is have something that everyone can watch, and she definitely did that.
Yeah, because I had a guest on from Reno 911, that show. It's a comedy. He was on Comedy Central, and one of the guys who's I didn't know how legendary he was in the voiceover world. And I tell you, I cover Comic-Cons, man. It is insane how popular these voiceover actors are. It's like
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've become good friends. I wouldn't say good friends, but we're friends. Do you remember the movie Hook?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Dante Basco, right?
Oh,
Dante,
yeah, legend.
Rufio. And so he does these conventions a lot because he is The Last Airbender on Netflix.
Yeah.
And dude, like, his lines are insane. It's crazy. It's really cool to watch that there's this other form of art that people really enjoy outside of that, which makes it difficult to get into.
What about you? Would you want to go into that world?
Voiceover, I got to tell you, I've been told a lot that I should, and in fact, I was close. And when I say close, I mean, I think I made it out of like the last round before they hired Gael Garcia, but for the movie Coco, I was up for that.
That's a
Just
great
never
movie. Oh, I watched it with
great
my
movie.
daughter like a year ago. Oh, it's such a great movie. Yeah.
It's the first time, and I'm glad that you watched that with your daughter. It's a beautiful film, and it was the
Beautiful.
first time for me, and come to find out later on, you know, and I hope this doesn't sound narcissistic in any way, but it was the first time for me having what I feel from what people told me McFarland gave them, which was me seeing that kid, Coco, right? Seeing the main character
Yeah.
go through this journey. And I remember being there with my girlfriend at the time, and I was crying. And I couldn't
Yeah.
explain it because I just hadn't seen a lot of it. You know, at least that catered to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's really beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Just to go off of you talking about Dante. This is Dante, right? This is who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. And believe it or not, he looks the
That's an
same.
iconic photo. Like that is
He,
Dustin Hoffman, he and Robin Williams.
yeah.
That's an iconic photo.
Did you know? Fun fact about that, I'm sure you did. Glenn Close, and this is one of my favorite movies as a kid. But Glenn Close is the pirate they put in the box when you go to Neverland for the first time.
I don't think if I knew that, I definitely forgot it. Like
No.
really,
Yeah.
that's insane, dude. So I have to say, like the fact that you're on is amazing because I started out, oh Jesus, a while ago, and I was like, I think you were one of the first guests that I reached out to. And then, you got back to me. I was like stunned. I was like, oh my God. It was
years later, man. My
but like,
apologies. I really don't check that stuff.
but like, it was just so funny how like at least you found it, right? Because like so many messages get lost. It's just the nature of things. So yeah, man, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And you know, I'm glad we made it work. So that's
Yeah.
that's
You're
the best deal.
You're a very patient person.
Oh, you know, I think that a lot of that, let's credit to the lack of work
Yeah.
in this moment, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy to be here, man.
Dude, you're super talented though. Like that, you know how it goes in spurts, right? Like it kind of like comes and then it goes and then it comes and it goes. That's acting, right?
That's acting for sure. I mean, yeah, I guarantee you ask every actor that, they're going to say that's acting, and then they're going to have a but.
Yeah.
Because as much as it's about that, it's also, there's so many things that go into the, you know, that pie that we're trying to make.
Yeah.
You know, it's a team effort at the end of the day. There's only so much that one person can do. Your reps got to be also going above and beyond. And, you know, because there's always somebody right behind you that is just kind of waiting for your traction to slow down a little bit. And then it's particularly in ethnic communities.
Yeah.
They don't need too many of us, you know, the way it's been in Hollywood. So one can jump over and that be the guy that everyone goes to right away, you know. So it's interesting, but I feel like there's some really good times ahead. I'm excited about the future. And yeah, you know, it's just an interesting time.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into McFarland, but like you were great in The Bridge. I mean, Fatal Attraction, I liked. You know, it was a good series. I thought there was a couple little changes they could have made to like make it last. Like I thought the lead character was super unlikable. Like the guy,
Josh.
Like, no, as a character, not the actor. Yeah, I thought he was just, I don't know. I did a press day for that with Amanda Peet.
Oh, she's very sweet. I didn't work too much with her, but she's very, very sweet.
Yeah, I just, it was one of the like my first like real like press days, like with a big, the nerves got me, Carlos.
Sure.
They killed me. Yeah. I don't know. I was really sloppy. The sound sucked. Not on my end. It was sometimes there's one particular, like, I don't want to say company, but service that deals with it. And it's just very echoey. And it's like the compression didn't sound right. And I know it wasn't on my end because on every interview I do, I know it sounds good, but a combination of things, it created a shit show. But did you, in your high school, did Danny, and I took this off of IMDb, did Danny Amendola go to that same high school?
Yeah. Danny and I graduated the same year. Yeah.
Same year?
Yeah, same year. Yeah.
Wow. Are you a big football fan or no?
You know, I played football growing up, and I wasn't that good until it was a little too late. But you know, Danny, man, I kind of love that little random fact about me, and I love Danny. And if I saw him today, it would be the happiest of times, you know. But life happens. But the thing I'll say about Danny, bro, is that it's okay if I call you bro.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Danny was, and I think this is part of success. You know, Danny's a much smaller, like, than the ideal size for the athlete, especially when it comes to football. Yeah. But Danny just outworked everybody. Always outworked everybody. And we had about 11 guys go D1, and no shade on anyone because they were all talented. A lot of that's because of what Danny brought to our practices. You know, Danny, you went to our practices, and Danny had, it looked like whatever you think when like the scouts were all there. So you look at a movie and there's a bunch of scouts like on that one prospect. That's what it was like with Danny when he was practicing. It was insane.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
little receivers like that. He's on the smaller end, right, Carlos? I haven't seen him, but he's on the smaller end.
Danny, I don't know what he's listed at, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to give anything away either. But
Yeah.
Danny is, Danny's smaller than your average receiver for sure.
Yeah, because I live in Massachusetts and he was a Patriot for a while. I feel like guys like him and like Welker and Julian Edelman, like they took hits, man. Like part of it's their size, part of it's they play inside. It's just the slants and the crosses, and boy, those guys take up. I don't know. Like I'm looking
they're
at two.
So important, especially for someone like Brady. Nickel and diamond up the field. You need those guys.
Yeah, Carlos, you think Tua should retire?
You're talking about the Dolphins quarterback.
Yeah,
I know he's had a lot of injuries, and I don't know, man. You never let that. I think that's up to him, right? That you can't count out because we don't know what kind of fight he's got inside, and that's what matters.
Yeah, his fight. One question before I actually two before we get into McFarland. You did an interview. I don't remember. It was with a Latino woman. She did a great job, but she brought up something about you and Spider-Man. Big. So Carlos, I didn't understand what she was saying. Like I couldn't tell if she was having fun or you like really, or maybe it was Miles Morales or Spider-Man. I wasn't. I just wanted to ask you to clarify that for me.
Well, that was a long time ago. When McFarland came out, it was like the next night that they went. Andrew Garfield in the studio went separate ways, right? And so there was a lot of conversation online and between my reps and whoever about it, but nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I think ultimately, Miles obviously wasn't the character they wanted. If they had gone to that, whoever they would have used for him. But I'm very much in support of a Miles Morales live action. If you look at my Instagram right now, it's funny you say that. That's what I was playing a little earlier.
Yeah, it's. I was late to that 2018 Miles Morales movie, the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It was like
so good.
Oh man. My goodness, I was not ready for that.
Did you see the most recent?
The one that came out in 2020. It was
2022.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the first one more.
Okay.
But the second one was really good. Like it's like they're both like. Yeah. I was just stunned. It took me so long to come around to it. Like I just saw within the year, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like this thing should have been seen in a theater. It was that good. Like it was amazing, But
and lately theaters are just having more and more fun. I recently saw again for the second time Twisters in the 4DX theater.
Yeah,
man, that's a ride. It's
an experience, man.
For sure.
People, I've been begging since day one. You got to get out of your living room. Like, listen, you can watch Yellowstone on your couch. That's great, but like what you're talking about, a movie like what's
Top
that?
Gun?
Top Gun, the Godzilla movie.
Godzilla 1.
Yeah, minus one. My favorite movie of the year last year. Like that was like if you're watching that at home, you're missing out on everything. Like that roar. Totally. You said it.
It's funny, and I don't want to go on too much about it because I know there's other things you want to talk about. But when Deadpool came out, I saw that 4 times that weekend, largely because, and also there's a theater really close to the house. But it's like, I know my girlfriend's not a big fan of Deadpool. She's only going to want to see it one time. And I have the 4DX. So like by the time she sees it might be the last time I see it. And I want to enjoy it in this experience. And I did, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. What a terrific movie. I went to a Comic-Con, Carlos, and they had Peggy, the dog who played Dogpool.
Oh yeah, she's traveling like crazy now.
Oh, she's adorable.
You go to a lot of Comic-Cons?
I do. Well, I've been going with my daughter lately a lot. I've been in Rhode Island. That was a huge one, and there's one at the casino.
My girlfriend was just in the Rhode Island one, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, if we got this started earlier, I would have definitely went up to her and said hello.
If you're at one and you see Ladybug there, Christina V, say hi. She'd love to say hi.
I would absolutely love that. So man, talk about your like early influences, like when it comes to like movies or actors. Like who's somebody you saw and you were like, damn, I got to do this. This is what I want to do, man. This is it.
It's funny. I'll give you the artistic one, which I developed later.
Yeah.
And then like the fanboy one, which is the one you asked.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, man, it was Nicolas Cage.
Mm.
Nicolas Cage was just he made he made the false reality reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was so big. He's a larger than life, actor, yet he makes it real. And there was something about that I couldn't take off. I couldn't take my eyes off, and so I saw them all, from The Rock to Con Air to Face Off. If he had a movie in, I would buy it behind my mom's back. I wasn't supposed to buy rated R movies,
Yeah.
So it was that. But then as I get older, right, as I start to look at the kinds of things that I want to do, or the things that make me want to grow, I think that's really the right to grow.
Yeah.
You look at actors like, I mean, I didn't think it for the longest time, Adam Driver, but like little by little, I'm like, oh my God, I've been looking at this all wrong. This guy's actually a genius. Shia LaBeouf, who I've known for a long, long time. I know he's had his own thing, but we're talking about art in this moment. That guy is so tenacious.
Terrific.
And he tacks every role with every ounce of him that, as an artist, that's something that you have to have, right? I think there are a lot of people that think they can just get by or they'll figure it out. And I don't believe that to be true. But like someone like Shia, I'm hearing myself say this out loud. There's not a lot of Latinos that I put out there. And that's just because there weren't a lot,
No, it makes sense. Yeah. There
weren't a lot for me to look up to, period. And what I mean by that is they were there. I'm friends with a lot of the guys who were those guys at that time, but they weren't playing the roles that I wanted to play.
Right.
And that was the positive influence, and then obviously there was Will Smith, who, again, we're going to talk about work. I was a big fan of someone of color, breaking a mold that hadn't really been seen. At the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the scene with him and his dad, that one hit. Denzel, the list goes on, because I think I would see these guys and they were doing what they were doing seemed possible. What Tom Cruise was doing didn't seem possible for me.
Right.
Right. And now there's a bunch of guys that are Hispanic that are doing really incredible work, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah. That's a really good answer. Nick Cage is the one that he's the one that sparks debate, because I think he's unbelievable. Like, doesn't he have 2 Academy Award wins? Like, like people Nick. Sometimes he's like over.
Let's fact check that out of the respect for Nicolas Cage. I think I left my phone over there. I was going to look.
I will check. I am 98% sure I am correct. I will fact check this. Yes. Did you see the movie Pig? Because he should have been nominated for that.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That was the greatest movie of that year, Pig.
Oh yeah, great. And what a just a great idea about a guy who does the truffle mushrooms. What a great idea.
Yeah, that movie should have got more love and more respect than it has, because I think I watched it 2 or 3 times. I was like blown away.
It's so good.
Like, anybody that wants to know if he's a good actor, watch that movie, because he
does 100%.
He does ones where he's over the top, but that's him. That's who he is. Like, that's I don't know.
What's really cool about someone like Nicolas Cage, and then you talk about, like comedic actors that transition over when they're so used to doing so much, and then they just bring it right here. All of that life that they normally bring is still there, but it's just contained, right? So then you look into their eyes like you could in Pig, and it's just masterful. It's just incredible to watch.
Carlos, the actor that plays opposite him, I'm forgetting his name, and I'm so pissed.
I don't have my phone. I check it out.
So I'm going to tell you, Carlos, I was right, 2 wins. He won for Leaving Las Vegas, which is a movie you can really only watch once. It's hard.
Yeah, hard.
But then Adaptation in 2003. And I think I'm telling you, he should have won one for Pig.
Or The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, or at least a nomination.
There you go. That was an awesome movie.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And nothing against, like, I'm not a guy to talk shit, but I will bring similarities. You look at performances, Ryan Gosling can get that far for Barbie. Nicolas Cage could have got that far for Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah. Alex Wolff was the other actor in Pig. He's the one that he talks to most of the movie. And there's a restaurant scene where he encounters the guy that, used to work under him. And it's like one of the best scenes in cinema, man. I don't know. I love that answer.
How did you, it's hard to interrupt you, Derek, but you're just so knowledgeable. How did you get like all this?
Carlos, a lot of it is because I have no life.
Okay. But, great answer.
Yeah, but no, I just, man, like when I was a kid, I love
Mhm.
movies, man. I wasn't always inside. I wasn't like an inside kid, but man, I just like and getting like so I had the director, not the director, one of the actors on Pig on, but like when
Mhm.
movies move me, I just like McFarland USA's one. Like when they move me, I'm all in, man. Like I'm just absorbed. I like even reading about your life today and your quotes and interviews that you've done. But man, we talk about McFarland USA, man. When you look back on that, like how freaking proud are you of this movie? I'm going to tell you, it is one of the most underrated sports movies of all time. Like
Thanks. Thank you.
there should be so many great, like, so I wrote down before I was going to talk to you, I said, when Costner at the end is looking down at the finish line, he goes, "That's not Danny Diaz." That
Yeah.
should be like an all-time quote, like "You're killing me, Smalls," or like that should be an all-time quote. That is such a genius, like awesome moment, Carlos.
You know, everything about Kevin, and I can't say this about everyone. Um, everything about Kevin is just so special. Uh, I believe that line, not everyone knows this, and I don't know, I'd have to look at the script, but part of me thinks that that was improvised, or at least the moment became bigger because of Kevin. Because if
Right.
it wasn't improvised, it was that's not Danny Diaz, right? Like under his breath. And then he made it what it became. I don't know. So like I don't want to 100% say that was all Kevin, but so much of that moment is because of Kevin. And it's so special.
Yeah, I hope this interview does a lot of things, shines a light on your career. I hope this interview really opens up the door for. It's on Disney. Like
And it's
everyone
on
has
Disney.
this. Yeah, so like this is like if you're looking for a great movie to watch like anytime, and you haven't seen McFarlane USA, like you will so love it. Like
Well,
I'm
thank you.
speaking, and it's like a super rewatchable movie. Like, dude, one of the most beautiful scenes in that movie is when Costner's first, when Coach White is first, he's thinking about creating a team and he's watching you run across the fields and you can see the dirt come up from your sneakers running from
Mm.
a far distance. Dude, I love cinematographers. What a beautiful scene, my God! And he's
Yeah,
looking at
Adam was amazing. Our
Adam's
DP
great.
was incredible. Yeah.
Adam's amazing, but I'm going to tell you this: Antonio Pinto's music is phenomenal in that movie and drives it.
You know, it's funny, man. You bring up some really great points, and by all means, ask any questions. I do have to continue to say this about Nikki Caro, the director.
Yeah, she's
Um,
great. Yeah,
Nikki's her resume speaks for
yeah,
herself. She's
yeah,
done way more than just McFarlane. The thing about this film that makes it great is two elements. Kevin making us feel like we belong, meaning myself and the Seven Runners, right? Kevin making sure that, and again, you don't want to sound like a Yoda, but knowing there was an open door policy, right? So I have to point out the obvious one first.
right.
Kevin was much more a part of this deal than just showing up and saying his lines with some truth, right? Kevin was way bigger than that. I mean, Kevin, it was really cool. At that point, I had done some cool stuff, but nothing like this. And it was to the point to where we were family, right? And that translates when you guys are spending every day together, right?
Right,
And
right.
then the other part of that element, man, is Nikki Caro,
Yeah,
because this is a world that has been dominated by men, especially the sports world, right? That's what we're talking about.
right.
And to have flipped the eyes that are telling the story, Nikki's, gave moments a softer, still masculine, but softer element that was missed. That if you were to just make the same movie without hers, you would get the same movie, right?
Right,
But
right.
with Nikki's touch, it just made it warmer. It just made it something that was like, I'm safe watching this, and so everything you just said, from the first off, from the casting with Kevin to Adam, Nikki picked Adam, to the fact that we shot on 35 millimeter and not HD. Nikki was adamant about that.
Yep.
On top of the way that she directed, I remember having a moment with Nikki where she said, everything on this set is done on purpose. Everything on this set is done on purpose, meaning there were things that were done to make us feel more like a team,
Yeah.
right? Nikki was constantly going. And you just cannot talk about how great of a movie it is without giving credit to the captain, and she did an amazing job of being the captain, and she continues to do that in her other projects.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Carlos. And like you could storyboard each scene. Like I mentioned the one with the fields, but like even the Almond Hills was like a really like every scene. Like if you break it up, it's like, God, that's such a great idea how they did this or how they did that. So that adds credence to what you're saying for sure, Carlos.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
so
the almonds were a pain.
Is that can you feel that when you run up and down that? Because
it's like running on moving sand.
Wow, yeah, doesn't seem like a very enjoyable experience.
It's not a very giving run, I'll tell you that much. But
yeah. This is a movie that I feel like can be appreciated by all, but I think it really shines a spotlight into what these kids were going through, right? So, like, I think reference is made that high school is the best time of their lives. Like, this is, and a lot of them, with one of the funniest scenes is early on where Costner's trying to keep them from, or Coach White is trying to keep them from coming on, from leaving. And then when mom's calling me, I gotta go. Like, no, I gotta go. Like, I can't stay with you. Sorry, bro. Like my mom's calling. That's the ultimate authority. I gotta go. I gotta
so
work.
Real, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, mom is God, right? in that moment, mom is God. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, bro. Like, I might not eat dinner.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that going on for these kids for sure.
So, Carlos, this movie applies to all people. Like, anybody can enjoy it. Like, but let me ask you, being a Latino actor, does it hit harder? Does it hit a little bit harder because of what people that have seen the movie understand what I'm saying? People that haven't seen the movie will see once they watch it. Certainly gives people insight into what a lot of people are going through that they might not be aware of in everyday life.
Yeah, I think it only hits harder if you think you're watching a Latino movie.
Yeah.
I think from all the elements, Kevin, Caucasian, Nikki, she's from New Zealand. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's sports, which is open to everybody, and everyone can run. It was a film that I was really proud of because, I got a little brother, right? And he's not so little anymore, but at the time he was maybe 10. And, for that, that was the main motivation for a lot of my success, but also making sure that whatever we did showed children and people watching whatever projects I was involved with, that you're not limited to this in life because this medium is, and I know you probably have heard this a lot from other people, but that's really our goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. The shining light in this movie is not that these kids won, it's that they all went on to college, right? That's and in real life, a lot of them came back to give those kids beneath them a chance. Yes, right. A lot of them came back to become teachers and guidance counselors. Yeah. I was surprised at how, first of all, Nikki's choice to end the movie the way they ended it was effing phenomenal. Like, I thought that was like, there wasn't a better ending to be had. Like, to show them running, like, and then it's like, here come the waterworks. Like, it's just, you see his bike, and then, dude, a lot of, like, it was Danny Diaz, and I can't remember who was after him when they went to credits, but like, he was like jacked. I was like, whoa. Yeah. I was like, but like,
that was Damasio. That's Damasio.
Yeah, but it's like, that's, and you figure, this kid was, because he's from appearance, from kind of early, you're like, is this kid up to no good? You don't know. And then as the film grows, you realize he's just a really wonderful human being who ends up being like a police officer, right?
100%.
Yeah, crazy.
And a lot of that is just, picking up the book, not just looking at the cover.
Yeah, dude, that's a great quote. So I heard that you didn't really. Did you talk to Thomas a lot developing the character? Did you find out a lot about him?
I didn't, and it wasn't really like a choice, but I think here's the thing. I was, when I jumped on, and this is just about the Thomas thing, because everybody did develop a relationship with the guy that they were playing. And I have one with Thomas. He's great. He just messaged me the other day, and he was in Houston where I grew up. But by the time that I had gotten into like the swing of this character, because we did so much training before, and you had the script a good amount of time before this and that, I had started to make something that wasn't him.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was just like, we had some formalities. Hi, how are you? This is cool, yada, yada, yada. But I did keep a little bit of distance just because I didn't want to play the idea of him. I wanted to use the information that was given to me of him and try to be as respectful to him and my art at the same time. So, and I feel like when you're playing somebody, like I might be doing something soon, which is also another sports movie. When you're playing somebody like that, and we're doing what's it called, a biopic. When you're doing a biopic, if the person's still alive, there's a lot to pull from, right? And that's great, but you don't want to do an imitation.
Right.
You want it all to come from your soul, and then try to create moments that person went through that are similar to yours, right? Because those moments add up over time, and they all will make the same person at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I've always approached that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really well said. Honestly, Carlos, I can't. I want people to like. Anytime somebody asks me like for a movie choice, and I recommend this, they're like, "Holy shit, you're right!" Like I'm like,
Thanks,
"Yes,"
man.
but it's on Disney. Like everybody should be watching it, and it gets. I don't know. I gush over this movie because as you know, I've liked it for quite some time.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It was really cool, Carlos, watching you guys do the press tour like 10 years ago. Like you're basically kids. I mean, you're still a young kid, but like. I just feel like it was just watching you guys answer these questions and listening to you talk about how you couldn't have sugar, the diet was strict, the training. Was it as tough as it was made out to be? Like because some of those kids were like sugar deprived. They were acting like it was like really bad.
It was. It was the training was, but there's a reason behind it. If you'll let me, it might take a minute or two, but I'd love to tell you why.
Absolutely.
Why it's so important.
Yeah.
So we do this training. I had never run. I was even a little heavier than the ideal runner at the time. So I was on a crazy diet. Like, I mean, I was having meals brought to me every day, 6 of them.
You have like a football. You got a big build, Carlos.
I have a big build. Yeah.
Strong muscle build. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But for me, it was about getting lean, or as lean as I could.
Yes.
And so like my diet was definitely the hardest out of everyone's, and that's not to take away from anybody else's, but we'd all say the same thing. Once we got to the filming part of it, because we did train for like 2 months before. Once we got to the filming part of it, people were a little more relaxed on it. But you weren't just eating. I wasn't eating M&Ms. Maybe the other guys were in their trailer, but like there were things that I just couldn't do. And the studio's got a clause in there, that you got to meet this and this by this date. Otherwise, they got to cover their end too, right? I could be recast. Yeah. So there were all these things in fear as a young actor that you're like, oh man, like I don't want to mess up. Which if I were to do it again, I would still take the same approach. I just wouldn't live in fear as much.
Right.
But the point of all that is that like there's one scene in the movie that I love, and it's the scene where right before Danny Diaz, when Thomas crosses the finish line.
Yeah.
Right. What you see is a direct result from how hard we worked, because a lot of the guys that they hired to compete with us were real runners. A lot of the guys ran at collegiate levels, things like that. They were no longer doing that. Right. And that's when they're allowed to do that, or they're things like that. Right. And the final race, and I'm fast. I was fast. But some of these guys, they've been doing it for years. And so that final race, our stunt coordinator, his name's Mark. He awesome guy, Mark Ellis, does a lot of the big movies for sports. But he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to shoot this race. We're going to block it. But you guys are going to really, really race, which means once he passes me, like I have to beat him. He's not going to slow down. Right. And it's a brilliant move for the production, because you get so much out of this 100% take. Right. And you get what you get and you use what you can. No one thinks it's going to be perfect. Right. And so we do it. And I'm in the lead, then he goes here, and we're right here at the blocking, and
you're hauling ass. I know what you're hauling ass. Yes.
We're hauling ass.
Yes.
Right. And what ends up happening is once he's in front of me, right, and there's no more choreography. Now we're really racing and we're filming. I actually beat him by a knee. But that's only because, number one, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
And number two, if we hadn't done the extra rep, the extra hours, the extra stretches, the extra everything, that wouldn't have happened, and we would have simulated it, and it still would have been great, but it wouldn't have been what you see when I crossed that line, which is the real race. And Thomas
not as authentic is what you're saying, Carlos.
Yeah, not as authentic. Yeah.
What was that other actor, Carlos, aware of how the movie worked and what a script is for, and was there a reason he was running
yeah? I mean, so
what happens, Carlos, if you could not say something happened, say you pulled a hand, say something happened, like he's pushing you to limits that what the what the hell, dude? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So a lot of the guys are actors. So what ends up happening is, like, for people who are just starting to act, there are roles like that where they release a mass breakdown and we're looking for people who used to run that aren't currently, and then that's how they submit and get found for these projects.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you did some work with Mark Wahlberg's trainer, Brian Nugent.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Brian's the man. We reached out to each other recently. I think I'm gonna try and work out with him again soon. He's awesome and just a good human. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you though. Your character is easily my favorite. I love Thomas because I feel like he's the deepest character for a lot of reasons. He's the guy I think that's the backbone. But being a guy who runs every day and is fat, I have pictures of Danny Diaz everywhere. I don't have it. But I thought that was the sweet touch for the film to have him just hauling ass like you were. Like everyone kind of expects him, I hope he finishes, and you see him kind of coming up. But that's the heart of this movie, man. They're cheering for Thomas. 100%. They're cheering for Danny. Anybody in the world could be friends with these kids. They're so likable.
They are. They were, and they, unfortunately, we don't all stay in touch. But there's about 5 of us that still do, and those guys are my brothers. Yeah. One of them is now doing, in addition to acting, doing real estate, and he, he actually just helped us find something. So I mean, we're still very much a family.
Yeah, yeah. So the movie's approaching.
But I did want to say one thing about Danny Diaz, because you're such a fan, and Ramiro is just a great human, and I can't wait to show him this. But he didn't audition for David or Danny Diaz the way that everybody does. Nicky wanted to be as authentic as possible for this film. And they casted a couple guys from McFarland, and they were casting guys here. And so a couple of the actors in the film actually lived in McFarland and ran for the high school team. The character of Danny Diaz was coming to the studio to bring his cousin for a callback. And our producer saw him and said, "You should audition." He didn't want to audition. And if I remember correctly, the guy was like, "I'll buy you a pizza if you audition right now," or something like that. And he said, "Sure." And because trust me, the pizza thing wasn't like him saying, "You look like you like pizza." It was them going to get pizza, something along those lines. And it was just the producer saying, "Please audition for this. You're perfect for this." And he came in and he was right. Our producer was right.
Carlos, I wanted to throw something up on a screen just in case those people that haven't seen it or who love the movie like I do. Just a little side by side of you. And what Thomas looks like. Man, I love it. I just think it's just so special. Just the way you guys, man, that's really awesome.
He got a haircut since then. And so we still look a little alike. He got a haircut.
He does a lot of motivational and public speaking, right, Carlos?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This thing changed his life. This thing takes him everywhere.
What did he say when he first saw your performance, when everything wrapped and he saw the premiere or whatever? Did he approach you, Carlos, and say thank you, man? Or that was, what did he say?
He definitely said thank you, but we never had a talk about it. I think he really just enjoyed the finished piece. And part of that could be, him not knowing how to approach the subject, but for our relationship, it's never been anything that we felt the need to open up, to be honest.
Yeah. How long do you spend with Costner, and how much did you learn? Are you picking his brain? Or is it more like observational learning? Like, holy shit, I like the way he, because I was just watching something little, Carlos. He's the scene at the end where everyone's celebrating, and he just has this without even talking. He has this thing where he does a double take. He's looking at people, or it's just those little things that he does. It's it's just genius. It just works, Carlos.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, there are a lot of those that. As my memory comes back, which I'm sure we'll talk about, as my memory slowly comes back, there are a lot of nuggets that he gave me that unfortunately are his tools, and I want to leave those with him. When he's ready to disclose those to other artists, I'm happy to, you know.
Yeah, good. Well, you know what? At least you've seen it. And
Yeah.
is there anything he does that blows you away on, like, is there a particular moment where maybe how often do you rewatch this movie?
I never rewatch it. Not for any reason other than I got a lot of other things to do
Yeah, I
than
get
watch
it.
me for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Wow.
But I can tell you, I saw the movie when it was in its heyday and all that was happening. You know, the studio would bring us in for screenings, and at that time it was super exciting. So obviously, my friends that I wanted to see it before, they saw it, and then the cool thing that we just decided to do, which was as a cast, those of us that lived in Hollywood, we would go to movie theaters that were packed, and we would just kind of watch it with the audience, and at the end, just kind of surprise them and say hi.
Yeah, and what I love about this movie, because Disney's kind of going, and I'll be careful how I phrase this.
Sure.
Disney is going in a political way with a lot of their work.
Mhm.
This was just an old-fashioned good freaking story, like
Thank
a
you for
true
that.
story
Yeah.
about like good people, like, and I love the way the community bonds, like people of all ages can enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's got that same feel as like a Miracle, like the movie Miracle,
Yeah.
right? It's got that same kind of feel to it. People bonding together, cheering for this squad that like was non-existent, that people had no hope for, and never mind the wins on the racetrack, but like just their achievements in life, man. It's just so much to
Yeah.
cheer for here. I don't know. I'm
No, I
gushing.
appreciate you saying that. And then while we're on the subject of promoting films like that, there's another film that came out at the same time, and unfortunately ours kind of just took away its momentum, but it's called Spare Parts, and it's another fantastic film.
Yeah.
It's all about like a team and tech and like the school contest, young Latino kids. Great film. Great film.
Carlos, I think I saw the trailer for that. I don't
Yeah.
think. Oh my God! Now it's coming back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Came
I've
out
got.
at the exact same time, and sometimes one takes off and the other doesn't due to marketing or what the studio has scheduled to release that year. But yeah, that's another great film that whoever is watching this because they enjoy McFarland, go check out Spare Parts.
Carlos, how different is Thomas than you, right? Because Thomas is closed off, super talented, smart, protective. Life's let him down a little bit. He's a guy that like he shoves things down. He's not one to like speak his feelings. Certainly in the first half of the movie, right? He just suppresses things, and when they come out, he's understandably an angry guy. Coach White is kind of a father figure. How much are you alike, and how did you have to learn to kind of go in that direction and adapt some of those qualities, Carlos?
Part of that just became from me understanding the nature of films and film and TV, or kids in film and TV.
Yeah.
Understanding kind of what the audience enjoys watching, which I wouldn't recommend to any actor, but I think that kind of became something that I became really good at.
Yeah.
Because I put up my roles prior to that were always the tough kid that was battling something, that was going through something. And then the other part of that is just making a strong choice, hoping it works, and then, pulling for me, and, it not in like a woohoo way, but because I love who I am in this moment, right? Like I love all the chapters in my book so far because they've landed here. However, there were a lot of similarities and a lot of the hardships and painships that he went through. I experienced myself.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. Talk about that scene at the bridge. Hard to shoot. Was that difficult for you?
No, and Kevin, Kevin and our stunt team made it really, really easy. My only fear was I'm on a bridge, and then we got there and they showed me the wire, and the stunt guy, he was like, look, you can fall forward. He did it. Nothing happened. So then I did it. And then once I knew I was safe, it was game on.
Carlos, it's really beautiful the way that scene unfolds, right? Because there's so many ways he could handle it. We'll get you help, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, he goes, you're going to jump off this thing. You're going to live. You'll never run. You'll never run again, but like, you'll live. Like, what a clever way to like talk this kid down. And then moving forward, have the relationship just be so beautiful. Like it's It's everything. It's everything Disney used to be about, and hopefully in the future will be. But
I think it's everything. I think it's everything leading men are about.
Yes,
and
yes.
that is, believe it or not, like I got to tell you that doesn't. Sure, I did my job, but the reason that scene's great is not because of me; it's because of Kevin. And that scene's
Oh,
great.
I don't know about that. I disagree with that a little bit. Like, nah,
And
yeah, I get
thank
what you're
you.
saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But with that scene, its structure is to have a life lived versus one that may never be lived, right? And you look at Kevin, Costner. You can't just put anybody in that. And what makes Kevin so kind or not kind, genuine in his work is that's how, if that happened to Kevin Costner, that's how he would handle that situation. And that's what makes that, and what makes Kevin, who he is, the life that he's lived, and the man that he's become, and the vulnerability, and being able to show that free of concern to everybody, that there's a big heart and a soft man underneath all of that, is why that works.
Carlos, earlier, that's a great answer too. I brought this earlier where Kevin, like, he kind of, because he has this like stillness where he doesn't really say much sometimes, but you could tell by the way he's thinking. I don't know. I feel like your character does too. You did a great job of that. Like, Thomas is not a guy that you would probably mess with. Like, that if you got into something with this guy, he's like, I think he has that commanding respect. I think he's a man of pride and honor. I don't know. I think
you're nailing it.
Yeah, I think the way you portrayed him was like beautiful, man. I don't know. I just
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
This is like a timeless movie. I have a few more questions for you. Thank you for all this time.
Yeah,
I
of course,
appreciate it. So as this movie is unfolding, and we're looking at a lot of what Kevin is doing and the cast is doing. Is there a scene, you mentioned you like the end, the race at the end? Mm-hmm. Is there another scene for you that sticks out that's memorable?
That sticks out that's memorable? There's just so many, because up until that point, and thankfully now that
you're partial to, Carlos, that you're partial to, maybe I should
that I'm partial to, like that I don't care about,
that you love, like
I love,
like of all the great scenes I've done, you know what?
Yeah.
I really like this one. This is the one that
really... I mean, it's got to be that race scene, and I know it's so simple, but like that's the recipe for success. All of that, right? Yeah. So that because that's the one, like the acting, sure, like I'm constantly doing that. That's part of my life. But when it came time to film this movie, and the work that I knew this role required, like I was committed. And it's that moment that's like, I did my job, and I'm proud of what I did in that 3 seconds of film time.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was in high school, cross country was a sport that everybody shit on. Oh, you can go play cross country. As I get older,
in my high school too.
Yeah. As I get older, as I run, there couldn't be a tougher sport. Like, go ahead and try to keep that pace with some of these runners. Like, there's a couple of great movies about Steve Prefontaine. I don't know if he's a big Nike guy, Prefontaine. And you watch these movies and what these runners go through, like what they subject themselves to, like even these kids learning to run, there's a big sacrifice. Cross country is a really, really hard sport. Yeah,
it's very hard. And it's funny because now I got trained by the best, and some of the guys there were real runners too. So like I'd like to say I got a college degree in running, but I know enough, and it's funny because I can see when somebody's using too much breath, or or their hands are clenched, and it's like, you're wasting too much. I can spot it, but it is very much a skill. It's very much a sport. Yeah, it was. And I think I've talked about that before, to where about running, I just thought it was an easy sport, and once I actually had to start training, I was in for a rude awakening.
All I think about, Carlos, is how many high schools, cross country teams, running teams, high school, you just want a movie to show the team for motivation. How many times this thing's been played?
Yeah, that's the cool thing. Like I recently, I forgot where I was with a buddy, and we're just getting gas, and there was a cross country team like running, and they were all like, oh my God, McFarland, and like that's awesome, because they need that too, right? Cross country needs that too. Football's had it, baseball's had it, everybody had it. Cross country, now they have it.
Yeah, man, it's just a beautiful movie. What is What's around the corner for you? What's up? We talked
Man,
McFarland for a while.
next year is looking busy. Next
Yeah.
year's looking very busy. The show that one of the shows I was just on, I've already talked to the team. There's something nice that's going to happen from that. Then
nice.
I recently got approached about a boxing film. And that's kind of the one I was mentioning earlier that, it's just early talks, but I have a really, really good feeling about it. And then I'm doing a movie, a passion project, with a buddy, who I did a movie with 11 years ago, and he's gone on to do amazing things. And now he's like, dude, I just want to work with people that I can enjoy working with. And from there, we just, we're definitely having fun in the creative box right now.
Yeah. Is it, Carlos, is it tough between projects? You mentioned you got a lot going on, coming up, but is there like, I don't want to say cabin fever, but is there like, what do you do to, like, say if there's like a acting's lull, everybody goes through it. How do you manage it, Carlos? How do you keep yourself upbeat? How do you keep yourself like, hey man, like I'm trying to get you down because, hey, tomorrow's a different day than today is. How do you manage that?
Oh man, I think it's funny. Every now and then I send out texts to friends and I'm like, yo, how's your head? How's your heart? How you doing? Just quick to check in. And somebody asked me the same thing. And I was like, they asked me it back. And for me, when those kinds of things happen, I try to set small little goals that the end result is strictly on me, not on someone else, because then it gives me things to work towards. Right. Yeah. And part of the nature of Hollywood is, waiting for the phone to ring. Or the last 2.5 years, there was a lot of people don't realize before the strike, the studio started to stop production because they knew we were going to strike. Right. So this thing has gone on, and the slowdown started in, October of 2022. And we 23, because the studios knew the strike was going to happen in May, they didn't greenlight anything. All right. So it's been 2 really, really long years that unless you're in that 1%, you're not doing anything. You're not even auditioning.
Jeez.
And it's been really, really, really tough. So in those times, the thing that have helped me now is the small goals. Prior to, thankfully, I haven't had a drink in almost 5 years, but I handled it incorrectly prior to, because I would get close to a lot of really, really, really big things, and no one tells you how to deal with failure, or at least what you perceive to be failure.
That's an awesome answer, man. I can't thank you enough for doing this. It's just
Derek, thanks, man. Likewise.
It's 5 years in developing, and man, I'm just so thrilled we finally made it happen. And I do hope, Carlos, that you come back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carlos.